If no one said it to you yet, Happy New Year and Happy 2026. This is our first video of 2026, and it definitely feels like a new year to me right now. You've probably heard me say before how much I love the new year and the fresh start, but even more so this year because I actually spent pretty much all of December recovering from tonsil surgery. I had my tonsils removed, so it feels nice leaving that in the past and moving on with a healthier new year. Now, I haven't actually talked about this too much on here in the past, but I've been dealing with super inflamed tonsils throughout pretty much my entire 20s. I got tonsillitis when I was 20 years old, and my tonsils just really got inflamed and they never recovered or went back down after that. So yes, the entire time since then, last like 9-ish years, they've been inflamed. I've gotten tonsillitis multiple different times. It's just been a bit of a hassle for me in the back end. So I finally got that taken care of, and it was definitely the right choice for me. But I'd love to hear from you if you've also had a tonsillectomy, you've had tonsil surgeries before. Let me know down in the comments how it was for you. Anyways, let's get back to the topic of this video, which is setting goals, and specifically money goals for 2026. Now, if you haven't set your money goals yet, don't worry, it's not too late. It's never too late to go ahead and set some goals for yourself. And hopefully this can actually be maybe inspiring, give you some ideas, or at least be entertaining for you. Now, in this video, we're going to go over my money goals, Dennis's money goals, and also our combined money goals. So let's get into it. Okay, real quick before Dennis kicks us off, I wanted to remind you that we're hosting a live kickoff call for everyone who joins our course, Simple Investing for Canadians, before January 19th. And I repeat, that date is January 19th. Now, Simple Investing is for anyone who wants to be focused on investing this year. So if you've technically started investing already, but you're not really sure if you're doing the right things or the right things for you specifically, then this is the right choice for you and the right time to do it so that you can start your year off strong. On the live kickoff call, we're going to do a full intro to the course, we're going to do a Q&A session, and we're also going to do a goal setting session so we know where you want to be when the course is done. Now, again, you have until January 19th to sign up if you want to be included in that live kickoff call. So make sure that you sign up in the description box down below or at the link on screen, and we'll see you there.
All right, so let's start with my money goals for 2026. So this past year, I was feeling kind of bad about my spending. I basically had some pretty big expenses that I hadn't had in the past, so it really felt like I was spending a lot of money. And I was spending a lot of money, but when I look back at the exact amounts per category, everything made sense and was a planned expense. Now, the biggest one was, of course, proposing to Steph. Now, I spent over $7,000 on that one-time experience alone, so really without that, I'd already done a pretty good job at sticking to my other budget categories. I also spent about $1,500 on rental cars, and you would think that that was a lot of money, and it is from a budget perspective, but if you compare that to me actually buying a car, I would be spending way more money owning a car. This was an average of $125 a month, and that would basically just cover my parking. Forget about maintenance, gas, insurance, and on top of that, I'd have to buy the car itself to begin with. So at this stage in my life, renting a car still makes the most sense, and I wouldn't know that if I didn't track it and have the data from my own budget. Anyways, I mentioned that because I actually had a pretty good year with my money, and I expect this year to be the same. So really, investing is going to be my main priority for the year. Now, my first specific goal is to invest $2,000 a month. I've actually been able to hit this goal for the past 2 years in a row now, so this year shouldn't be any different. But in case you're new to our channel, Steph and I work for ourselves and we pay ourselves out $4,459 a month. Of that amount, in the past, we've invested $2,000 a month, and we've spent from the other $2,459 a month. The next goal I have is to remax out my TFSA, remax out my FHSA, and to finally max out my RSP for the very first time. I've been able to max out my TFSA and FHSA in the past, so that's my tax-free and first home investment accounts that have tax benefits. But I also gain more contribution room in those accounts every single year. On January 1st, my TFSA gained $7,000 of additional contribution room, and my FHSA gained $8,000 in additional contribution room. I'm very confident that I'll be able to remax out those accounts, which would be another $15,000 this year. So the part of the goal that I'm really excited about, or more excited about, is maxing out my RSP for the very first time. Now, the RSP is my registered retirement investment account, and it's the last tax advantaged account that I've yet to max out. It's definitely the lowest priority for me of the three. I first opened my TFSA and maxed that one out first. Then I opened up my FHSA and maxed that one out second. And this one will be the one that I've actually opened up third, and that will be maxed out as well. And I'm hoping that this is the year where I actually am able to hit that goal. I feel like it should be possible this year. I've currently contributed $27,700 into my RSP, and my current contribution limit is somewhere around $69,899, but I'll confirm that once I'm actually closer to maxing out the account. My last money goal for the year is to hit a $225,000 personal net worth. Right now, I'm sitting at about a $170,000 net worth, and I should be able to hit a $200,000 net worth this year simply based on my regular monthly contributions of $2,000 a month for 12 months, plus our annual bonus that we just paid ourselves out. And keep in mind that since the majority of my money is invested in the stock market, I can't really control my short-term net worth. Of the $170,000 net worth that I do have right now, approximately $162,000 of that is invested in the stock market. So I'm just gonna set this goal to $225,000 for now, but we'll see where we land by the end of 2026.
Okay, so now let's talk about my money goals for 2026. Now, last year, I would say that I was really focused on investing. I wanted to be really intentional about investing as much money as I possibly could, and also about hitting some of my investing goals, like, for example, maxing out all 3 of my tax-advantaged investment accounts. And I will say that all that intentional focus was definitely worth it because I did hit all of my different investing goals and big money milestones that I wanted to hit. I ended up investing the most money that I ever have in a single year, and then on top of that, I was able to hit that goal of maxing out all of my different tax-advantaged investment accounts. So that's my TFSA, my FHSA, and my RSP. Now, I'd already maxed out my TFSA and FHSA before coming into 2025, but I had to re-max them out for the year and then also max out my RSP for the very first time, which was really exciting to get to do. Now, with that being said, the spending side of things is where I kind of let things go a little bit last year. So this year, I clearly need to shift some of my focus and intentions to making sure that I keep my spending in check. So with that being said, let's get into the goals. My first money goal for this year is to spend no more than $32,000. So spend $32,000 or less for 2026. So when I actually go back and look at my spending over the past few years, here's what it looked like. In 2023, I spent about $37,000. Now at that time, I was tracking my spending. That's how I know exactly how much I spent and in what categories, but I wasn't really being intentional about keeping my spending lower or in check. It was just one of those years where I wasn't really on top of things in that way. So in 2024, I ended up being very on top of things, and I only spent $32,000 that year. Now, that was a full $5,000 less in 1 year. That was done with me being very intentional. One of the biggest changes was having no takeout, ordering no Uber Eats or delivery food at all, and that helped me cut down on my eating out budget alone by $2,500. So that right there was a huge piece of it. That brings us to this year, last year, back in 2025. There I spent about $36,000. So clearly trending back up closer to where I was at in 2023. And this time is interesting because, again, I was tracking things. I was still being much more intentional than I have in the past about my monthly regular spending. There's just a few categories that I let myself go a little bit crazier in, and it's really easy to let things creep back up when you do that. By the way, I should also mention, and I think it's important to mention, that there hasn't been any really big changes in my life that would impact my spending in any way, right? Like, it'd be different if I had moved and I have much higher rent, then of course I'm going to be spending more on a yearly basis, right, as those things increase. But for me, that hasn't been the case. I'm living in the same place, no major changes. So there's no real reason why I can't bring my spending back down to a level at $32,000. And in fact, I know I can do that. I just have to be intentional about it. I will say there's a few things to mention there. I have had some increases, right, to my fixed expenses, my rent, my internet utilities, things like that have gone up a little bit over time, but nothing so crazy that I can't bring my spending back down to that level. I know from knowing my own expenses and life situation that that's manageable. So again, I want to bring it down to $32,000 or less this year, and it's going to be possible as long as I'm intentional with all of my different categories. Now, my next goal is a money milestone goal, and that's hitting a personal net worth of $275,000. Now, right now, I'm sitting at a net worth of about $230,000. That's in this moment. Next year, I plan on investing $37,000 again. So right there alone, that would bring me up to $267,000. Now, one thing I think it's important to keep in mind is the fact that the vast majority of the money that I have in my net worth right now is invested in the stock market. So of my current $230,000 net worth, about $218,000 of that is invested in the stock market specifically. The reason that's important to bring up is the fact that I don't have control over the stock market in the short term, right? It could be up or down depending on timing. So in general, if everything stayed the same and I add $37,000 next year, I'd be at a $267,000 net worth. I put 275 as my goal because, again, even if it's kind of like a safer goal, if the market happens to have just gone slightly up next year. But again, I don't have control over that over the short term. It could be up way higher than that. It could go down next year. Again, I don't have a say in that. So it's kind of more of one of those nice to have goals, just a marker for myself to see where I could be at this time next year. But what I can control is how much money I contribute to my investments. So that's going to be my focus. But I'll definitely do another video next year updating you on my net worth progress. So stay tuned for that one. Now, my next two goals are both back to being investing related goals. And the first one is to invest $2,000 per month. Now, just like Dennis mentioned, this is a goal that should be attainable for us. It's something that we've been able to do for the past 2 years already. So it's just keeping that goal consistent. Basically, how it works for us is that every month on the first of the month, we get paid and automatically transfer $2,000 of that towards our investment accounts. It's kind of like a non-negotiable for us. It's what we want to do no matter what. It's the first thing on our priority list. And that's basically what they call paying yourself first. Now, my other investing goal is to remax out my TFSA, FHSA, and RSP. Now, last year is the first year that I was able to max out all 3 of those accounts for the very first time, but all of them gained more contribution room again as of January 1st. So they've already gained it for this year as of right now. The TFSA gained $7,000. The FHSA gained $8,000, and my RSP gained about $12,000. So that's a total of $27,000 that I'll need to invest again in those accounts this year in order to remax them out again. Keep in mind that my plan for the year is to invest $37,000. At least that's the goal as it is. So that means that with that plan, I should be able to do that and still potentially invest up to $10,000 in a taxable account too.
Okay, so those are all of our individual money goals for 2026. Now let's talk about our combined money goals. Our first goal is to continue to grow our business. We're always focused on growing our business and increasing our revenue. Basically, as entrepreneurs, making money is always a number one priority because if we didn't make any money, we actually wouldn't be able to live and therefore wouldn't have any money to spend, save, or even invest. In our case, we make money in multiple different ways. There's ad revenue from our videos. There's us working with brands to make content either for our platform or their platform. There's speaking engagements and more. Now, last year, we also launched our course. Now, that came with a lot of upfront costs because we wanted to make it as great as we possibly could. We had expenses related to the platform we chose to use so that the experience would be as simple and as seamless as possible for everyone. We had contractors that we chose to use for our graphic design and video editing so that things would actually be visually appealing and as nice of an experience for everyone once again. And there was also a lot more costs as well. So really last year was more so about recouping a lot of those costs and expenses. But in the future, that's still going to be a really big focus for us because we really, really love the community element. And it basically gives us the ability to have with you all and our audience in general, that one-on-two relationship. We're also launching a new project this year that we know that you guys are going to absolutely love. So really, once again, this year is a big focus of that is gonna be growing our business once again. Our next goals are related to getting married. So really it's to set a wedding budget and to start saving for our wedding. Since getting engaged in August 2025, we actually haven't done any planning whatsoever related to the wedding. We more so just wanted at first at least to kind of enjoy that engaged phase. But in the new year, we wanted to make sure that we started by actually making a plan. So figuring out what our budget is for the wedding. And then moving from there, figuring out how we were actually going to pay for this wedding and actually start saving. I know that we'll feel good once we actually have a plan. So at some point this month, we'll actually sit down, figure out what the plan is, and then we'll update you guys once we actually have a plan in place. Now, if you have any tips or you want to share what you did when you got married, make sure you let us know down in the comment box below. So that's it for all of our money goals for 2026. Remember to let us know what you're aiming for down in the comment box below. We really want to hear what you're aiming for, and we really hope that you have a great year ahead of you. And with that, we'll see you guys next week with another video.